There's always a pile of like kitchen weapons and tools by the bed, like
baseball bat.
And I look over and there's like the handle of something sticking out from underneath the bed.
Murder News presents What's It Like to Date a True Crime Enthusiast? What got you into true crime?
I got into true crime just because I was a weird little kid and I guess found some books about it and just devoured them and just took it from there. But yeah, I got into it as a pretty young kid.
So I've always really liked true crime, but I think what really got me hooked was Snapped.
My mom used to watch a lot of unsolved mysteries when I was a kid, so I was sort of exposed to it from a young age. And I remember watching a story about a family annihilator who had just one day, like, lost it. I know, I can't help it.
My dad has been into it forever, and our bedtime stories were Sherlock Holmes stories. They were not, like, Disney or anything like that. So I think that got my interest. And then as I was growing up, he would tell us stories about like when the Unabomber case hit, you know, like when it broke, or like when BTK was caught. So that just kind of grew my interest. And then we would watch Forensic Files together. He really liked Agatha Christie, so we read those books. So I think it's my dad that really introduced all that to us.
I think the first time I got really interested in it was my mom showed me The Silence of the Lambs when I was younger, and since then I'm obsessed with serial killers, and I really wanted to join the FBI at like 12 years old. I was obsessed with trying to join the FBI, study serial killers, and just like the behavior that leads people down that path.
What are your favorite true crime shows and podcasts?
I don't watch as many true crime shows as I used to because it freaks him out a little bit.
My favorite,
Here we go.
my favorite TV show to watch is called See No Evil on Investigation Discovery.
Unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, so I like some classic revivals like Forensic Files and Unsolved Mysteries.
Forensic Files.
I Survived.
Law and Order SVU.
Recently, I've been listening to Affirmative Murder.
My favorite true crime podcast right now is And That's Why We Drink.
Case File is actually my most favorite podcast.
I love Criminal.
I like Canadian true crime.
Once Upon a Crime with Esther Ludlow is one of my all-time favorites.
I really like Live and Die in LA.
What is the case that interests you the most?
Because I do military murder podcasts, I think that the case that really got me the most interested in military crimes was a case about, it's the Airman Witt case. So back in July 4th weekend of 2004, this airman who seemingly seemed like he was perfectly normal, he got into a little argument with someone in his unit over him making a move on the guy's wife. And in the middle of the night, he showed up on base. It was Robbins Air Force Base in Georgia, and he slaughtered them. He slaughtered the couple.
So as a kid, like I was really fascinated by serial killers and stuff. I remember reading The Stranger Beside Me really early on as well. So like I've always been interested in Ted Bundy's case and stuff like that.
The one I would really like to see solved is the Zodiac Killer.
The Zodiac case.
The Long Island serial killer.
Golden State Killer.
The John Bonet case.
H.H. Holmes comes to mind.
The Lori Vallow case.
And to this day, this killer still hasn't been caught.
When you first started dating, did you know that your partner was into true crime?
When we first started dating, no. I didn't know she was into true crime. Not at the beginning. It took about a year into our relationship that, little nuances started bubbling up about, the kind of movies she loved to watch. And I was never really in Law and Order, SVU. I wasn't into any kind of crime, horror stuff at all. And then we would start, of course, I would cater to her, like, as far as, let's go watch this movie. And I was like, okay, let's watch this horror movie. And I would spend most of the time, like, cringing and, like, kind of hiding, like, if I was 9 years old, because they gave me a lot of anxiety.
When we first started dating, I was watching a show on Ion. It was Deadly Women. He actually made me ask me to stop watching it because he was afraid I was going to kill him.
I was like, please. And she could have get away with it, no big deal. But, I didn't want to be on that list,
Our first date was a exercise in red flags. I took Aurora on a trip to an unknown location on a boat without any kind of evidence of where we were going. I handed her a thermos full of unlabeled cocktails. I pulled a knife out to cut some cheese. Like, here, I brought one for you. And I handed her a knife too.
I know like they're serial killers, but I didn't know there was a movement as like true crime people who actually like to see all developments of old cases and new cases, which I found like really interesting.
Yeah, we both have our own kind of strange interests that we kind of leave each other be, and I can bore her to death with my hunting podcast, so.
I guess she's always been into it, but since I kind of deal with what I like to call slime and crime on a daily basis just in my job, I never really like to bring that stuff home. So whenever she starts talking about it, not gonna lie, my eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. Find cases and of interest. Again, I'm playing that supportive husband role, but again, that's my job, right? So I'll look at it and then I'll kind of send her some ideas here and there, and then she'll just go off on her little, I guess, adventure and kind of script it out. And then that's kind of what we've been doing since she started the podcast a few months ago.
Then he sends me these cases, and he'll send it to me like today, and then like 2 days later, he's like, "So did you write the script? Like, are you covering the case I just recommended?" And I'm like, exactly. You know, I have actual listeners that send me dozens of case recommendations a week, so you're on the list. Don't worry, babe.
Hey,
What is it about true crime
some
that you
good
don't
ones,
like?
though, you know.
The true part?
I like the really upbeats, the superhero, the hero always wins at the end. And unfortunately, with a lot of the crime shows, a lot of bad people get away with bad things, and I don't know, I just don't dig that, so.
I know for some people it's reassuring to know all of those stuff, but for me it's more something that brings me anxiety. Like I don't like to think that it could happen anywhere and anytime to anybody, because like those people are so random. But it does bring me awareness about what's going on around, but I'd rather stay on that. Like keep the line there.
Keep your distance from true crime.
If it were something local, it would probably interest me, but on a global scale, I just have no interest in it, really.
Listen to this awesome true crime story, and then it was unsolved, which really upsets me. And he's like, yeah.
I was fighting to stay awake through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It makes me want to hide a little bit. Like I just hear this anxiety, and the people that are doing it, they're so upset, and they're like telling you this story, and then I look over, my wife's like staring at a speaker, like woo, and just completely, and I can just tell there's little butterflies.
And it's funny because he works in visual effects, and he's worked on zombie shows, which are pretty gruesome with like all the blood, and like they're so scary. Like I can't watch a zombie show because they're too scary for me. So like that's fine, and you can sit on a computer and make somebody look like they've been decapitated all day.
I actually really enjoy that. Like when we watch shots, when I'm reviewing work that has like a guy getting shot in a really cool way. I don't want to see like women getting like bloodied or anything, but if I see like a particularly cool like
I know the reality of it, but when it's up close and in your face like that, and it's not fictional, and it's somebody actually went through this, somebody actually made somebody go through this kind of pain and torture, I'm a very like sensitive dude, I guess, and it just kind of hits real close to home for some reason.
Maybe there's better things out there, and like no offense to all the crime shows, and especially your guys' show, but for me it's just like I don't know. That's probably the best way to describe it. I don't know the best way to describe it.
I think for him, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. I think for him it's more like he has such a limited amount of time that he'd rather spend it on, like he said, on the Marvel shows, and he likes the nerdy shows, he likes video gaming, so that's more his thing. So if he's gonna go and watch something, it's gonna be an adventure show or something.
Describe your partner's level of true crime interest.
Oh God! So I guess on a scale of 1 through 10, she would be like a 37.
Well, I know she's got a crap load of books, a whole bunch of podcasts, and various shows on TV.
She does watch and listen to podcasts like crazy. Like I'll come home, and she'll have a podcast on, and they'll be telling like these horrific stories. And she's just like, la la, washing the dishes, and like, no big deal.
She subscribes to all the podcasts. She goes on Amazon. She buys the book. She does the research.
I think that she connects with survivors and investigators, and probably a lot of other true crime podcast personalities and her friends. I don't feel like I'm going to come home and there's a serial killer sitting having lunch at our place and she's like, look who I brought home.
Actually, I think she's really involved into the community, and for her, it's a space for her to express that enthusiasm. And I know for some people, it's really great. It's really like empowering, and they feel like more safe together.
What are the telltale signs that your partner has been watching too much true crime?
Well, we have a few rules, and one of them, maybe 1, 2, and 3, is no true crime immediately before bed.
She carries around mace, and knives. She has knives, and she's very wary of her surroundings. But when she starts making jokes about, I could kill you like that, you know? And I know she's joking, but at the same time, I'm like, you could get away with that shit. Yeah.
There's always a pile of, like, kitchen weapons and tools by the bed. Like,
Baseball bat.
and I look over and there's, like, the handle of something sticking out from underneath the bed.
From extra locks on the door to fire escape ladders from the patio, but I think that's more of emergencies, but still. She's also that individual that, she'll probably make me switch chairs with her depending on where we're at in certain situations, always looking for exits, always kind of profiling people, as we're in, restaurants and out in public and stuff like that. And especially with...
Not in a bad way, oh my gosh.
Not in a bad way, sorry.
The only thing I feel like I did after listening to too much true crime is I walk my dogs at night. And then I asked him to give me one of his guns, and it's 100% empty. Like, I just carry it in my pocket when I walk the dogs at night. It was before we moved in together, so I was like living at my parents' house, but I would carry this empty gun just in my pocket.
First of all, I sleep wherever I'm more likely to get murdered first.
You definitely get murdered first.
So I have to be on the bed that's either near a window or a door, whatever looks unsafe. They're both unsafe. Like, he's not like and I said he, of course. The murderer that silently ninja-like breaks into our place is not like going down a list and killing one by one. It's like he's gonna get us both, or neither. So she also stacks suitcases by the door, and sometimes this happens after I've fallen asleep. Sometimes we don't get to sleep at the same times, and then I wake up and I go to the bathroom or something, or get some water, and I'm looking at the door because I have like black and blue mark memories of trip. Like, the only person that these suitcases trip are me.
My objective is to set up booby traps.
Yes.
So that way the person, if they've been in my house before, if they know where things are, they're unaware of the fact that now they're tripping over suitcases, or I had bells on our doors in Mexico, and that way I can wake up. Yeah, we actually had somebody break into our house, and we knew because of the bells.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the booby in that one that's getting trapped.
I think NG is like, as a little anxious person, feel more secure when she hears those stories and see those people getting arrested and stuff like that. So the conversation we have after is more about some crazy stuff that happened, of course, but also like to solutions and how to be more aware and find like a way to have a safe space for people. For example, when she has her clients and stuff like that, it's always a thing that we think about, like, how can we make it safe and make it like comfortable for them to come over. So I think it's more for NG. I think I never had to say that, okay, this is too much or whatever, but like,
because there's no such thing as too much.
Have you ever been worried about lessons your partner might be learning from watching true crime shows?
I'm not sure she's learning how to kill people on the shows, though. Like, when she's listening, I don't hear.
I'm not.
Oh my god! I think all the time.
Oh yeah, she totally knows. She's aware. But I have a plan B also, and I'm ready to defend myself.
No, we discuss together how to get rid of bodies occasionally. So she usually has better ideas than me. I usually resort to, let's buy some pigs.
Richard Picton, see? He's picking up on things.
One of our first inside jokes was that they were going to find us not murder-suicided, but when we would get on each other's nerves, but that it would be murder, that we would simultaneously kill each other and they would find both bodies. She teases me sometimes when she offers me a snack, but I am not smart enough to worry. I mean, I get like a wink and, it's not true, but...
It made you a cocktail.
Maybe like 30%, 40%. Not sincerely. She's, I think, has too much of a good soul, and would, if I ever made her that upset, would probably tell me, before she went to that next level. So I don't really fear her. I have a healthy respect for her.
I think in the long run, I always leave notes to like my coworkers and stuff. Like if I ever go missing, this is where I would be, or I try to leave little, I guess breadcrumbs, so people can find me if she ever makes me disappear.
Oh, if I make you disappear?
Yeah, which is terrible. I think if anybody could get away with it, she would, and that's terrible. Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm too lazy. As you could tell, like I lose interest. When it comes to the criminal justice stuff. So I feel like I'd be cleaning up halfway through, and then I'd just be like, you know what, that's good enough. And then obviously I'd get busted. So,
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell all of your true crime friends. Check out murdermurder.news for the latest true crime updates.
Murder, murder,